Alright, so the problem that we currently have in front of us is how would you design a stack that has the operations push, pop, and in addition also has the operation min, and they all operate at constant time. The operation min is supposed to return the minimum element in the stack. So how can we design such a stack? Well, let's begin. Pop operates in constant time. We need to maintain the order, so we can't sort it. We need to keep this intact. If we sorted it, then we'd no longer have the push and pop functionality in place. So we want this element, min. And I guess what comes to mind, I'm thinking we need another data structure to help us out here. Which data structure will give us the ability to maintain these operations? So what comes to mind is something like an array list. Why an array list? An array list has, it implements a list, but using an array. The array is the only way we're going to be able to maintain the constant time lookup for our minimum element. So our data structure would be something like this. We'd have an array. Right? We have an array. The array would maintain the order that we have for our stack. So if this is the top element, we could say this is the top element. 7, 2, 3. And let's imagine we have this sort of data structure. Here's our data, and then inside of our little array, return whatever our minimum is set to. Minimum value as just a property that we hold in a data structure. So we keep track of this with a special pointer. Call it minimum value. So what are the considerations? This data structure, it's a stack, so it's going to grow undefined. It's undefined how this thing's going to grow. But luckily, that's actually one of the properties that the Java array list at least tries to address by doubling the size of the underlying array every time that we reach our maximum capacity. And by doubling the size every time, we end up with an amortized O of 1 constant time insert. And insert and retrieve, which are push and pop operations respectively. And because we're always actually looking for the set element, this amortization is even better in that case, because we're always just looking at the top element. Anyway, even if we weren't looking at the top element, we know the index. We could access any of these elements in constant time. But since we're doubling the size every time, we reduce the likelihood that we have to increase the size again. And because we reduce the likelihood that we're increasing the size, we don't have to do the copy operation as often. The copy operation runs an O of n. However, since we're not doing this copy operation so often, then on average we get this constant time O of 1 retrieval and insert, which is important for retrieving this value.